listening or watching Radio Afinju. The time is 6 p.m.
Ẹ bá mi pè o. Àfínjú. Kí lorúkọ rẹ̀? Àfínjú. Rédíò. Àfínjú. Gbogbo èèyàn ló ń gbọ́ Àfínjú. Gbogbo èèyàn ló ń wo Àfínjú. Lórí WhatsApp. Àfínjú. Instagram. Àfínjú. Facebook. Àfínjú. Lórí X. Àfínjú. Lórí YouTube. Àfínjú. Lórí TikTok. Àfínjú. Kí lorúkọ rẹ̀? Àfínjú. Ẹ bá mi pè o. Àfínjú. Rédíò. Àfínjú. Gbogbo èèyàn ló ń gbọ́ Àfínjú. Gbogbo èèyàn ló ń wo Àfínjú. Gbogbo èèyàn ló ń gbọ́ Àfínjú. Gbogbo èèyàn ló ń wo Àfínjú. Rédíò Àfínjú. Rédíò Àfínjú. Rédíò Àfínjú.
That was the world news on Radio Afinju. This is the world news on Radio Afinju.
First, to look at the highlights. President Tinubu to attend Awujale's Fidal prayers. Federal government targets 4 million ammonia production. DR Congo M23 rebels sign ceasefire deal. Good evening and welcome to the World News on Radio Afinju. My name is Durotoye. The news in detail. President Bola Tinubu plans to leave Abuja for Ijebu-Ode, Ogun State to attend the 8th day prayer for the late Awujale of Ijebu, Sikiru Adetono. President Tinubu will be joined by Ogun State Governor Dakpo Abiodun and other dignitaries at the solemn events scheduled to hold at the Odino International Stadium in Ijebu-Ode tomorrow. The late Awujale, who ruled for a record 65 years, passed away on July 13th at the age of 91 and was buried the following day in accordance with Islamic rites, marking the end of a remarkable era of leadership. Late King Adetono, who was one of the nation's longest-serving traditional rulers and a major voice in national affairs. President Tinubu has intensified condolence visits in recent weeks following the loss of several high-profile Nigerians, including former President Muhammadu Buhari. As part of efforts to transition from fossil fuels to cleaner energy and boost local fertilizer production, the federal government has revealed plans to produce over 4 million loads of green ammonia annually by 2060. The plan was disclosed at the Nigeria for Hydrogen, Nigeria 4H2 stakeholders workshop held at the Presidential Villa, Abuja, where top government officials, development partners and academia convened to review the country's green hydrogen prospects. The Vice President, Kashim Shettima, represented by his Special Advisor on Economic Affairs, Chokpe Fasua, said the Nigeria 4H2 project was a strategic and decisive response to global climate necessities, stressing that the initiative represents the country's commitment to building a resilient green economy. This comes as Vice President Kashim Shettima called for investment in the production of green hydrogen as part of efforts to expand Nigeria's energy mix and tap into the fast-growing global green economy. The presidency has fired back at the African Democratic Congress ADC over its recent statement which accused President Bola Tinubu's administration of exploiting the death of former President Muhammadu Buhari for political image laundering. Reacting through a statement by the special advisor to the president on media and public communications, Sunday Dari, the presidency described the opposition party's claims as shameless and accused the ADC of disrespecting Buhari and dancing on his grave for relevance. The presidency dismissed the ADC's criticism as a laughable tantrum and part of a pattern of opportunistic outrage. In contrast to the ADC's allegations, the presidency insisted that President Tinubu's conduct during the mourning period was both dignified and befitting of the stature of the late former president. In a bid to emphasize its intention to develop a strategy aimed at unseating the All Progressives Congress (APC) in the upcoming 2027 general elections, the Social Democratic Party (SDP) in the Southwest has officially distanced itself from the coalition of opposition parties. This was revealed at the SDP Southwest stakeholders meeting held at the party's secretariat in Ibadan, Oyo State. Addressing the gathering, the chairman of chairmen across the 36 states and the Federal Capital Territory, Femi Olaniyi, noted that the challenges, progress and the coalition at the meeting were discussed at the meeting. He stressed that the party has been asking series of questions regarding the coalition in the 6 states, that is Ondo, Lagos, Ogun, Osun, Ekiti, and Oyo states, adding that they've called their people to intimate their resolve not to be part of any coalition, as no part of SDP in the region will join the coalition. Addressing concerns about various challenges facing party members, he maintained that there is unity among the leaders and stakeholders in the region. Senator representing Osun Central Senatorial District, Olubiyi Fadeyi Ajagunla, has officially resigned from the People's Democratic Party, PDP. It was gathered that Fadeyi Ajagunla's resignation was disclosed in a personally signed letter dated June 12, 2025, and tendered to the PDP chairman of Ward 3, Okejibo, in Ila Orogun, Osun State. His resignation, which marks another high-profile exit from the party in the state, is coming following an earlier report on the resignation of the senator representing Osun East Senatorial District in the National Assembly, Francis Fadaunsi. In a letter also dated June 12, 2025, and addressed to the Ward 4 chairman of the PDP in Obokun local government area of Osun State, Fadaunsi cited irreconcilable differences with the party's leaderships as the reason for his departure. Amid a growing call for local government autonomy in Nigeria, former Lagos State Governor Babatunde Fashola has said that it would be unrealistic to expect the local governments in Nigeria to function independently under the current constitution. Fashola, speaking on a television program, said local councils cannot carry out their responsibilities based on the interference of the state houses of assembly and state government. The former Minister of Power, Works and Housing explained that the fact that the state houses of assembly make laws for local governments is an external influence that contradicts the idea of autonomy, adding that the debate that must be is whether the nation really wants autonomous local governments.
In terms of local governments, really, I think that the debate we must have is whether we really want autonomous local governments. It's a debate that must be had. As it stands today, it is unrealistic to expect autonomy for local governments created by the Constitution. They were not meant to be autonomous. That is my view after a very, very close reading of certain provisions of the Constitution. Some of those provisions provide, for example, that the local government in its economic activities and all of that will have laws made for it by the State House of Assembly. If you look at the legal and ordinary meaning of the word autonomy, it suggests that you are acting independently without any outside influence and authority. And to that extent, a State House of Assembly making laws for what and how a local government can function is in itself an external influence that contradicts the idea of autonomy.
According to Fashola, the autonomy was never genuine, adding that for a real autonomy, the local government must be free of all these and there must be an agreement. In other news, armed bandits attacked Nguwa Gada village in Kafur local government area of Katsina State, injuring 2 residents and rustling several cattle. According to a post on X by security analyst experts Zagazola Makama, the gunmen invaded the community at about 12:45 a.m. and fled with the stolen livestock through Reraji village in neighboring Malamfashi local government area. According to reports, 2 villagers identified as Sani Yao and Umar Shamsu sustained gunshot wounds during the raid and were rushed to the general hospital in Malamfashi for treatment. It was gathered that security operatives, including police officers, were ambushed by the fleeing bandits while responding to the distress call. The attackers opened fire on the patrol team, damaging the front tires and engine of a police armored personnel carrier, rendering it immobile. Troops have since intensified patrols in the area and launched a manhunt for the perpetrators. Now on the foreign scene, to end fighting that has devastated the country's mineral-rich but conflict-torn east, a ceasefire deal has been signed by the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda-backed armed group M23. The truce today was agreed in a declaration of principles signed by the 2 sides after 3 months of talks in the Qatari capital, Doha, which follows the separate Congolese-Rwandan peace deal signed in Washington last month. The agreement has it that the parties commit to uphold their commitment to a permanent ceasefire, including refraining from hate propaganda and any attempt to seize new positions by force. The M23, which sees huge swaths of territory in eastern Democratic Republic of Congo, in a lightning offensive in January and February, had insisted on seeking its own ceasefire deal with Kinshasa, saying the Washington deal left out various problems that still needed to be addressed. The deal, which the 2 sides said aligns with the Washington agreement, also includes a roadmap for restoring state authority in eastern DRC. In Asia, as a special prosecutor continues investigation, South Korea's jailed former president Yoon Suk-yeol has been indicted on additional charges for his short-lived declaration of martial law last December. The prosecutor's office, in a briefing, said the new charges include obstruction of the exercise of others' rights by abuse of authority, ordering the deletion of records and blocking the execution of arrest warrants. Yoon, who has been on trial on charges of insurrection, which is punishable by death or life imprisonment, is facing additional charges since the special prosecutor was appointed in June to take over the cases against him. Although Yoon denied all wrongdoing, the impeached and deposed former leader has been jailed at Seoul Detention Center since earlier this month, and a court earlier this week rejected his request to be freed from detention. Excuse me. In Europe, Russia launched its biggest ever attack on the eastern Ukrainian city of Pavlograd as part of a large wave of strikes across the country involving hundreds of kamikaze drones and flying missiles. The head of the Dnipropetrovsk region, Sergei Lysak, disclosed that the six-hour bombardment was the worst in the city's history, saying a factory had been damaged, a fire station destroyed, and a five-story residential building hit. The attack came soon after Trump's special envoy to Ukraine, Keith Kellogg, flew back to Washington after a six-day visit to Kyiv. The White House announced a large-scale arms package to Ukraine this week, including additional Patriot anti-aircraft systems to be paid for by European allies. The Kremlin refrained from carrying out a large-scale bombardment while Kellogg was in the country, making social media overflowing with memes depicting Kellogg as a cat protecting the capital, since Keats sounds similar to Kit or cat in Ukrainian. In the Middle East, after almost a week of fighting in the predominantly Druze area, which has killed more than 700 people, the Syrian presidency has declared an immediate and comprehensive ceasefire in Sweden, saying internal security forces have been deployed in the southern province. Syrian interim president Ahmad al-Sharaa, addressing the nation, warned that any breaches of the ceasefire would be a clear violation to sovereignty and urged all parties to commit to the ceasefire and end hostilities in all areas immediately. Recall that armed tribes had clashed with Druze fighters on Friday, a day after the army withdrew under Israeli assault and diplomatic pressure. The Interior Ministry spokesperson Nouraddin al-Baba, in a statement on Telegram, said Syria's internal security forces had begun deploying in Sweden with the aim of protecting civilians and putting an end to the chaos. Hours earlier, the U.S. envoy announced that Israel and Syria had agreed to a ceasefire after Israel sided with the Druze factions and joined the conflict, including by bombing a government building in Damascus. Now talking sports, the Nigeria Premier Football League NPFL's annual general meeting is set to hold on Monday, 28 July, with the 2025-2026 season fixture draws to be held the same day. The venue of the AGM is expected to be announced later by the NPFL board. NPFL earlier announced that the new season will start on Friday, 22nd August 2025. According to the NPFL, the season will end in May 2026. Still on sports, before targeting the highly anticipated bout against Tyson Fury in 2026, Anthony Joshua could fight YouTuber turned professional boxer Jake Paul next. Anthony Joshua's promoter, Eddie Hearn, confirmed the talks for fight before Joshua targets Tyson Fury in 2026.
We want to fight Tyson Fury, but we are going to fight before that Tyson Fury fight, because I think Tyson Fury is not going to fight Anthony Joshua before spring, summer of 2026. So we have been out, or AJ's been out, for coming up to a year in September. So we definitely want to fight again. I had a meeting with His Excellency, who just met Jake Paul the night before. Jake Paul has reached out to Anthony Joshua a few times. I've spoken to Nikisa, Jake's manager. It's never a fight we anticipated. It's never a fight we've targeted. But if you want Jake Paul to be the warm-up fight, and obviously financially it's a great opportunity for AJ, and you want to provide AJ and probably in turn Matchroom with the opportunity to extinguish Jake Paul from the world of boxing, then maybe AJ will oblige.
Joshua, who has not fought since losing to Daniel Dubois in September last year and underwent elbow surgery in May, is targeting a return to the ring later this year. Since then, Paul beat veterans Mike Tyson and Julio Cesar Chavez Jr. at heavyweight and cruiserweight, respectively. After defeating Chavez by unanimous decision last month, Paul audaciously called for a showdown with Joshua and has met with Turkey Al Sheikh to try and make it happen. Before we go, here again are the highlights. President Bola Tinubu plans to leave Abuja on Sunday for Ijebu-Ode, Ogun State, to attend the 8th day prayer for the late Awujale of Ijebu, Sikiru Adetono. As part of efforts to transition from fossil fuels to cleaner energy and boost local fertilizer production, the federal government revealed plans to produce over 4 million loads of green ammonia annually by 2060. And on the foreign scene, the Democratic Republic of Congo and Rwanda-backed armed group M23 have signed a ceasefire deal to end fighting that has devastated the country's mineral-rich but conflict-torn east. That was the world news on radio, our Finju TV channel. Please